Let's catch up before the end of 2022. In this episode, I talk about how my relationship with alcohol has changed over the course of this past year. I talk quite fast, to be honest, and I give you the rundown on how I'm coping with the holidays and getting through some family drama and some fighting that happened recently. And then I tell you a story about my Brazilian wax I just got for the first time. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I can't wait to see you in 2023. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss new episodes. Welcome back to Human, and welcome to the last episode of 2022, which feels really crazy to say. We are starting a brand new year, and I knew I had to throw in one more solo episode before we closed off 2022. I love doing solos so much. I'm debating just doing solos in 2023. I was talking to my friends recently, and they were like, Jess, you keep saying you're going to just do solo episodes, but then you keep bringing people onto your podcast. And I'm like, yes, because I do love bringing in other perspectives. But at the end of the day, I love sitting, having a one-on-one conversation with myself and kind of giving my 2 cents on some different things I'm thinking, feeling, and just going through. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a life update, a little bit of a holiday check-in, and then I will say goodbye. And I will be back and better than ever for 2023 episodes. I am going to be trying to post most weeks, like once a week, most weeks. I'm going to pick a upload day and hopefully stick to it. And I am really excited to bring lots of new conversations to 2023. But first, let's close off 2022. When I think about New Year's of last year coming into 2022, let me take you back for a second. I hosted a party, a little get together at my house, and it was right before the Omicron season hit in Ontario, where everything shut down. And at this time, I was living with my parents. I was definitely grieving a lot because I'd lost a childhood friend just a month prior, and I had my friends over, and I had definitely been in this trend of drinking so much I threw up, and it happened once a month. Without fail, somehow I was on this weird timeline of always throwing up once a month because I would just go way too hard drinking, and the next day I would feel awful, and I would have other drinking experiences where I would still just be hungover like it was nobody's business, and I felt so like misaligned with myself because I was like, this isn't what I want to be doing. I don't want to get this hammered all the freaking time. And so when I think back to January, I had a bunch of friends over and things got like really fun. I had a really good time. We danced a lot, but then inevitably someone usually gets too drunk. And I was just talking about me getting too drunk. So like there's no shame in the throw up game. And so I had a friend who got too drunk, and then when you're at a party and you want to be having fun with everyone, but you're like, I need to take care of someone and be there for them. I was also doing that. And then when I was no longer taking care of that friend, they were safely in an Uber, safely on their way home, and had safely arrived home. I have a video that someone took of me, and I will post it. I had a full glass of champagne. This was like probably 1 a.m. at this point, and I was chugging it like so freaking fast. And for me, that's just, I ended up throwing up. I literally ended up laying in my bed, falling asleep that night. I think I was trying to fall asleep, and then I think I actually did fall asleep, and then I woke back up and rolled out of my bed onto the floor into the trash can and threw up, and then rolled back into bed. And I think I got up, brushed my teeth, and then went back to bed. And luckily I got to spend New Year's Day with my boyfriend, and spending a day with my boyfriend hungover is always better than spending it alone. I struggle when I am hungover alone. And then as the new year of 2022 progressed, in January, that was my throw up in January. Then in February, I went to Montreal with a friend, and I had another night where I went too hard and threw up in our Airbnb. And then in March 8th is my birthday. My boyfriend took me out like the night before, so like midnight turned my birthday, and we had the best time. No regrets except for the fact that I drank too much, and we had like a few too many tequila shots, and I threw up before I went to sleep. It's always before I go to sleep because like I'm going to bed and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so hammered, and I threw up and crawled into bed, woke up the next day, and had the worst actual day of my birthday, because I was so hungover. I felt like, how it feels. You feel dehydrated, you feel sick, you feel just awful. And I remember reaching out to Katie, who is holistically humble on Instagram, who does yoga stuff, and I talked about her in an episode where she really helped me. She's a holistic nutritionist, and she helped me work through my vaginal yeast infections. So I reached out to her, and I was just like, I need to figure this out. I am throwing up all the freaking time. So through working with her and talking with my therapist, and then like really starting to advocate for myself and listen to my body, I have not thrown up from alcohol since March, which is huge. I had one instance where I was with my boyfriend and his friends, and I drank a beer and a half. I'm also not a beer drinker. I drank a beer and a half and had to book it across the street behind a tree and throw up. But then I went home and continued to throw up for 24 hours straight. So that was not from alcohol. I personally think it was stress. I think that this was in the period of time when I was moving from downtown Toronto to like back into my parents' house, which was like, think about the timeline of this. I literally lived with my parents when I rung in 2022, moved downtown Toronto end of February while I was still in that drinking phase, and I partied so much in March when I lived downtown for that whole first month, threw up in March, started to try and work through this like whole drinking thing, but felt very isolated living downtown. Only lived downtown for like 4 months because I just hated the hustle and bustle of the city, wasn't ready to be on my own. And I think that's okay to acknowledge. So many of us feel like there's some sort of like embarrassment to like feeling like you need to live with your parents. Oh my God, like I'm working through this right now as I talk about this, but seriously, there's this like shame imposed on us by society or whoever that we should be able to live on our own and fully support ourselves by the time we're in our 20s. But life is so hard. And I'm going to talk about how the holidays are so hard because that's where we are right now in the holidays. And it's okay to not want to have the responsibility of rent, of paying for every single grocery and every single piece of food you consume, to also having to support yourself through work and school and all of that. And so I moved back in with my parents in July, and that was the time that I was like, I got the stomach flu because my body reacted like I had the stomach flu. But it wasn't also food poisoning because no one who I shared food with in the 24 hours and previous days leading up to it, none of them got sick. My mom was taking care of me the entire time I was sick. She didn't throw up at all. She didn't get sick. And I genuinely believe our bodies will react to stress we're under so much to the point where you can throw up. Rachel Hollis talks about how she kept getting Bell's palsy, where like half of your face goes numb, in a time in her life when she was putting so much stress on herself. She like couldn't physically function anymore, and that was her body screaming at her to be like, please stop doing this, please stop like running us into the ground. And during that time in my life, I was riddled with stress and anxiety worse than I had before because I was like moving out. I was moving out and like potentially hurting a friendship I had. And I was moving back in with my parents, not sure if I was going to like it. I was trying to find someone to live in my room out so I didn't have to continue to pay rent for my lease. I was scared about what people would think of me. I needed the support of my friends and my boyfriend and my family. And it was a lot to ask my family to help me move for the second time in 4 months. And I wanted to continue the podcast, and it was all really overwhelming. So my body reacted and I threw up. But looking back at the beginning of 2022, I'm so proud of myself for not bringing myself to that point. Like since the moment I said I can't do this anymore till I hit my breaking point. And this even makes me think about, this has been a theme a lot recently in my relationships, is I've had people in my life going through different relationships, job situations, living situations where they complain a lot, they don't like it, there's a lot of things they don't like, but they aren't ready to change it. And I just, let's go to the holiday stress for a second. I just got in a fight with my brother like a few days ago, and it was so freaking awkward because I cried and like told him everything I felt in front of my parents and my grandma and my brother. And the feeling when you're crying and expressing yourself while everyone is frozen in their like body, and they were standing, they weren't sitting, but they're frozen in their seat. And I was just like, I could not hold in my emotions, and it was so freaking awkward. But that holiday stress and the family dynamics, and I was upset about my brother because he made me feel small and belittled, and then I didn't know I had triggered something for him, so that's why he shut me down when we were having a conversation at dinner. So anyway, it turned into this whole thing, and I ran down to my room after I yelled, cried at him, and then he eventually came down, and then he told me about why he was feeling the way he was feeling and how he was triggered, and eventually I started to realize my brother is going through a situation where he's not happy, but he's not ready to change it. Where, there's negatives and there's positives, but right now the negatives aren't heavy and outweighing the positives enough to change it. Because moving, quitting a job, leaving a relationship, all of these different things, they really are hard decisions to make and they affect your entire life. And for me, I'm saying to my brother, this is why I live with our parents again, because I couldn't live downtown. But it's not that simple. That was a hard decision for me to make. And I did get to a point where I couldn't handle it anymore. But we have to respect other people's situations. When someone's in a terrible relationship and they keep talking about all the negatives, but they haven't left yet, you don't know the positives. Sometimes, a lot of the times, if I am going through a hard friendship or hard relationship, I'll only talk about the bad things, and so then my friends would never have seen how happy he makes me sometimes, or how secure I feel when he's around. But there's all those negatives, and so you can't force anyone to change their situation. And the hardest part is we just need to hold space. And it's interesting because I started coaching. I am actually the one coaching. I have a wonderful person I actually met through a networking event who reached out to me and said, I love everything you do on Instagram. I really want to have a session with you because I'm trying to progress my business and follow my dreams. And I think you could really just help me. And I want to have support from someone who is also pursuing their dreams. And I was like, holy fucking shit. Yeah. So now I've had 2 sessions with this wonderful woman, and I have been able to hold space for her and for all the hard things that she's going through and the things she's trying to work through and the things she's thinking about. And it's a lot easier to hold space for someone who, they're one, paying you to hold that space, and also they're not as deeply intertwined into your life. This was someone who I'd only messaged sometimes on Instagram. So we were strangers, and now we're starting to form more of a relationship. But in terms of her struggles, I am just a sounding board. And if you're interested in coaching, please DM me. I'm going to put an offer out there because this is the most fulfilling thing I've done. If there's just anything you're trying to work through, and we can have a free call to try and see if it's a good fit. But if there's anything you're trying to work through, business wise, relationship wise, trying to find ways to be more aligned with yourself, oh my God, I would love to be a sounding board for you and just hold space and give you any words of encouragement and advice that I have. But it's a lot freaking harder to hold space and not try to change anything when you see someone you deeply love and deeply care about and have a long history with. When you see them hurting, it's so hard not to immediately jump and say, you should quit your job, you should dump them, you should get out of there, you should move, when they probably aren't ready yet, and they are not gonna change until they're ready to change. And that's something you have to accept and be comfortable with, and that's really freaking hard. I honestly wish that more people, no I don't, when I was in a bad relationship, my brother and my dad and my mom were all this is a bad relationship, you need to leave it. But my mom was the only one who didn't tell me that, and because of that I was able to stay close with her while I was slowly coming to the conclusion that I had to leave the relationship. Everything my brother and my dad said, it made us further apart. It made us less close because I felt like I couldn't confide in them because they were just going to tell me to dump him and I wasn't ready yet. So overall, holy moly, the holidays come with hard feelings, and it comes with a lot of reconnection with old friends, old family, family you don't see all the time, old, communities you used to have. I'm going to one tonight. And that's going to come with some hard conversations where you're really invested potentially in a lot of these people in their lives, but know that it's not your life. You can give them your 2 cents, you can give them your thoughts, but at the end of the day, no one's going to leave a bad situation until they get fed up enough to leave. That's what it is. That's what one of my friends said the other day. She was like, I wasn't ready to leave my relationship until I was so fed up and really couldn't do it anymore, and then I would leave. Because sometimes you know all the negatives, but you're not ready to get away from it until they really outweigh all the positives. And that's really freaking hard to just sit and listen to complaints, because there's also a certain element of like, I really value being friends with people and having people in my life who take accountability. And there's a balance between like taking accountability and just simply not being ready for the change yet and needing to like give it that time. So with the holidays, oh my God, don't drive yourself insane and then disappoint yourself because you're going to give yourself 10 million New Year's resolutions that you're inevitably not going to be able to maintain. Change comes in small little bits over time. I was in therapy for 2 years. I did not go from A to B in 1 to 2 sessions. It takes slow, gradual change. And so maybe set one goal for the new year. Decide on one thing you might want to try to do, something you might want to try to add into your routine, a small step you might want to take on a weekly basis towards your dream life. For me, I'm going to be trying to do yoga every single morning. And I'm not just waiting till fucking January 1st to do this. I have already started to try to do yoga every morning after I wake up. And that is because I get anxiety in the morning. I think it's like contributing to the holidays, but I like it because of the holidays. But I just have been waking up like there's a fire under my ass, but then it burns out and I crash because it's like that spike in anxiety that you get in the morning. And I think it's like emphasized even more because I don't have a routine right now as much as I would like to, because I just finished my semester and I was feeling all this freaking stress about exams. And a friend and I were saying this recently together. We were like, exams finished though, and you're still stressed and you're still anxious, and you were like, oh, I thought the problem was my exams. And then you're like, wait, what the fuck do I do now? And that's when you're like, okay, what's going on? And for me, I actually realized there was a transition period I had to get through after I was done exams and before I started to like get into holiday podcast focus, where I wanted to like focus on getting gifts for people and focus on, creating a last episode and doing some planning for 2023. So allow yourself those transition times where like if you really feel like you can't accomplish something that isn't urgent and isn't pressing, like let's say you're just feeling so much pressure to get all your Christmas gifts frickin' on the 19th, but you have a couple days. I mean, okay, maybe not the 19th, maybe like you want to get all your Christmas gifts done on the 17th, but you still have a couple days. Don't force yourself necessarily if you're really not feeling okay. Maybe instead do something that helps you just escape your stress, forget about your life for a bit. I went to see a movie with my boyfriend and his friends, and it was so good to just like literally check out of my entire life and everything that was bothering me. It helped me really like relieve a lot of stress and just like go into this deep other world that the movie creates for you. And going to a movie theater really gives that. Watching a movie at home, your phone's accessible. You're going to go to the bathroom and then remember all that you didn't clean the bathroom and feel like you need to clean it. So like sit and like remember you have time. It's going to be okay. The holidays are hard. They come with a lot of social commitments sometimes. They come with old traumas coming back up. It comes with a lot of grieving about if you've lost someone and you're realizing you don't have them for the holiday season. It comes with the pressure to like become this brand new version of yourself in the new year, which is stupid because it's just, it's just another month and change doesn't happen in one freaking month. And it's really weird because it's like, okay, the new year's here, change everything about yourself, but you've just spent the last week to 2 weeks drinking every day, maybe because you're having social gatherings every day, and like knowing that you don't have to drink every time you go out, that's another thing that's really something that you can try to implement and have grace with yourself over the course of the whole thing. And like remember that Christmas and New Year's are a fucking marketing scheme. I'm serious. Why else would everybody become so obsessed with Christmas if society didn't just promote the fact that all of these things are on sale and you need to buy all these gifts? It's like, whoa. That's how I feel. I feel like brain shut down. It's literally just society telling you, it's capitalism being like, you need to spend all this money to show your love for the people in your life. And if you don't, then you're a Grinch. I've been calling myself the Grinch for the past couple weeks. I've said to my boyfriend, I'm like, I'm sorry, I know I'm like the Grinch, but like, I just hate the holidays. I'm so not about being forced to see all these people I don't feel like seeing. And it's not, you're not being forced, but there's like these expectations, and everybody comes home and everybody's in the same town as you now, and like all these family you haven't seen in a while, like you need to go see them now. It's just like, if you say no, you seem like an asshole. But like, maybe you got the stomach flu, just get the stomach flu. You have the stomach flu and you just need to like stay home for 2 days. You know what I mean? Whew, it just makes me think about how I want to do things differently when I am older and have like my own family I create for myself. When my family, my immediate family, is not nearly as much of like my mom and my brother, but like one day when I have a family where it's like my husband and my kids, you can take everything you're learning and hating right now and apply that to like the life you're going to create with your future lover, if that's one of the dreams you have in life. Before we close off the final episode of 2022, I have a funny story to tell you. And one might think, Jess, why are you going to tell such a vulnerable, deeply personal, potentially considered private story? But I just want to say this as a humorous story, but also one of a big learning for me. So I've been promoting like the winter bucket list. It's my own personal bucket list I made to try to stay calm and have fun and escape my daily stressors and just get out of the house over the winter season. It's like trying to combat the seasonal depression, winter blues vibes. You know what I mean? The whole goal is to just, push myself to leave the house and do something that is escaping my daily life and having some fun and just, having a good laugh, having a good stress relief moment. I've gone bowling, I've done laser tag. Also, for the record, I went laser tagging a few days ago and my lower back was so sore the next day, and I was doing aquafit today, and I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, what did I do on Saturday that would have made my lower back so sore? And I was like, I made Christmas cocktails with my friends, I like danced a bit, I was slouching a lot. I'm like, was my slouching something that made my lower back so sore? And then I was like, I'll tell you the other thing I did on Saturday, which I was about to say. I got a bikini wax. No, I got a Brazilian wax. And I was like, the Brazilian wax wouldn't hurt my lower back. And then I was like, oh, I went laser tagging. Okay, that was like a slouched over movement where you're like holding the gun and trying to shoot little kids. That sounds really fucked up, but it's just, laser tag. My boyfriend and I did it. Part of the winter bucket list. It was a fun date we did. And him and I aren't getting each other Christmas gifts because it is lessening our Christmas and money stress. So we were like, let's go on a fun date. So we did laser tag, but I fucked up. One, it hurt my lower back, which, like, whatever, my lower back will feel fine in a couple days. But I got my very first Brazilian wax, and I went laser tagging after. Safe to say, never do that. The pain I endured 10 minutes into that laser tag session was unmatched. The rubbing against my leggings and the redness, the swollenness, and the bumps are still here 3 days later. And you would think, why would I throw that all into one day? Listen, it's the holidays. Things are busy. You're trying to cram as many things in a day as you can sometimes. So I got a Brazilian wax, then played laser tag, and then had Christmas cocktails with my girlfriends. And I was not happy that day. It was a hard day, and I feel bad for the people around me because all I did was complain about my cooch. So, first of all, why did I get a Brazilian wax? I've never gotten one before. I feel like it's been something I've been curious about for like my like life, and I know some people who like swear by them, which was funny enough. I didn't know a lot of women got Brazilian waxes. If you don't know what a Brazilian wax is, you get all the hair ripped off of your entire private part, including your butt. And a few summers ago, we had a bachelorette party at my cottage for my cousin, and we were all like hanging and drinking, and we realized we were like, oh, like you get a Brazilian wax? And I was like, oh my God, who else gets a Brazilian wax? And like quite a few women in my family like swear by Brazilian waxes. And I was like, oh my God. And my mom is like so anti them because she just had a personal experience where she got one and she was like bruised and swollen and it was really, really bad. So I was like really turned off by them because like I feel like you become a wax person at an earlier age, like in your 20s or teens or whatever, if your mom is a Brazilian waxer, because then they would like take you and guide you and whatever. And my mom didn't, and that's totally fine. Totally respect why she didn't do that now that I have the experience. So I've always been like, okay, quite a bit of my friends do this, and like I'm going on vacation and I'm really, really excited. I'm going away with my whole family. We're going down south. We're going to be on the beach. So I'm like, I would love to like not worry about my hair in a bikini for a whole week. That would be so awesome. And people say when you get these waxes, like you don't need to go for like 3 to 6 weeks. Like you can really, we also have to let the hair grow out before you go again, but like it lasts so much longer than a shave. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to do it. And so I like asked around. I was like, does anyone know like any waxing places? And this friend of a friend who actually recommended me to the girl I go to now who cuts my hair, she recommended me to the waxing lady. And I'm like, wow, this girl's really got me in terms of the grooming department. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to see this woman and I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to tell my mom till after because I don't want her to scare me. And I was going to see if my friends could come and no one was free. And so I was going to see if my boyfriend could come and then it was just out of the way to go pick him up before the appointment. So I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to go by myself as an adult woman and feel like a freaking badass, get my cooch ripped, get the hair ripped off, and then go on a date with my boyfriend. And we were going to go skating and then we were like, oh, we don't want to go skating. And then we just ended up doing laser tag after. But I like mentally prepared myself for the pain of the wax. I've had my eyebrows waxed before, so I was like, I feel like I know the pain I'm going to go through and I can do it. And I was like really hyping myself up leading up to it. And I was like, I'm just ready to have like, I just like woke up and chose chaos. I woke up and decided to have like immense pain on my private parts. And the lady was really wonderful about it. It was a really interesting experience. It was difficult if you think about it too. Like like this is what happened. She would rip, and my entire body would be like anticipating it and rejecting it, and like I'm starting to sweat talking about this, and I would like clench. I'm like tensing everything, and then she'd rip, and you're like, holy shit, and then it's over, and you're like, okay, and then it keeps going, and like I would go back simply for the woman because she was so wonderful, and we like talked about life while she was just ripping out my hair. Oh my god, I literally feel like I have to poo. when I get nervous, I have to poo. It's just like a thing. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but talking about this makes me nervous. So afterwards, I was like, okay, I did it. It's fine. I'm going to be fine. I like she gave me some lotion to put on, and then I like paid her, and she was like, look at you. You're like walking out like you're a warrior. And I was like, I'm a freaking warrior. But I like was so sweaty. I took a Snapchat video of myself and I was like, I did it, but I'm shaking. Maybe I'll post it if I feel ballsy. And so I was like, oh my god, I need a freaking drink after this. I'm going on a date with my boyfriend anyway. Like, I'll go pick him up. I'm so hungry. Let's like eat lunch and just like have a drink and chillax. So we like sat down together, had a drink, and like told him about the pain. And then I was like, when I was driving to go get him, I was like, oh my god, it like stings so badly. Like, this actually hurts. But I was like, it'll probably go away soon. It like hurt all throughout dinner or lunch actually, and whatever. And then we play laser tag, and it was just like a mistake. Like, everything was rubbing and chafing, and it was just so bad. And then we had to go run errands after, so I just like free willied it, no undies, with sweatpants, just like wobbling around the freaking grocery store. And then him and I watched a movie, and I was in the worst mood. It truly just like, I was so exhausted from all the pain I endured, and I was just so uncomfortable in my private area. My pee was spraying everywhere. Like, you realize, this is my moral of the story. I'm very much, as I get older, becoming more aligned with like the universe and like my intuition, and like feeling like I want my body to be in a state of like, I want my body to be in its natural state. Like, I take birth control pills, and like one day I really want to go off birth control pills because I want to know what my hormones and how my body works without putting something in it to change it. I like want to get all hippy dippy with that shit, And so getting a wax made me realize I am not the type of girly to go bare, because I feel like there's hair there for a reason. Part of it is so your pee doesn't spray all over your entire leg. Oh my god, it's starting to get better now that it's been a couple days, but like the first day to 3 days was just like, I'm having to wipe my entire lower half to like not get, and I'd get pee on my fingers. It was chaos. And if you are a girly who does the full waxing and like you live and swear by that, props to you. Truly, everyone live your best life. Choose the path that feels the best for you. Choose the grooming techniques that feel most, sexy and confident and safe and comfortable for you. For me personally, I never even we're getting real TMI, but like, welcome to human. I never shave bare. I have an electric razor with an attachment on it. So it gets really low and stubbly, but it's never, like the Sahara Desert. You know what I'm saying? And I have sent it to so many friends, the electric razor, because I'm like, seriously, it's changed my life because I get bumps and burns and like it's just so uncomfortable. So I've found a method that works for me. Now, after I've gotten this wax, I've realized I love my method of grooming. Yes, it's annoying. Yes, I'll probably have to shave halfway through a vacation or in the summer, but like, I love my hair down there, and I am fine with it. And I wanted to just tell this just as a funny story to hopefully make you feel relatable or uncomfortable. Hey guys, hope the boys are enjoying this one. You try waxing your butthole. Actually, your butthole is the least worst out of the whole thing. But anywho, I think that added to my chaos of the holiday break. So try new safe things over the holiday break to help ease your anxiety. That increased my anxiety and my anger and my fear, or not my anger. Yeah, my anger and my irritation. And so then on top of this, like, this is when I felt my spike in holiday anxiety. I like did so many things in the same day, and then the night that I was doing Christmas cocktails with my girlfriends, I was going home and I'd had quite a few cocktails offs, and my boyfriend was out partying with his boys. He was having a boys' night, and I got like weirdly just like, oh, if he like hooks up with someone else, like, oh my god, like I'm just gonna have to deal with it. Like he'd tell me, like I had like cheating fears, which I don't usually have. And I want to normalize having those moments randomly pop into your head when like, in your core, you love this person and like this person wouldn't do that. But then you have these thoughts and you're like, this is so misaligned with like the values and the beliefs I have within myself and my relationship. Like, why am I thinking these things? And him and I ended up talking about it, and he was like, do you need to know anything about the night to like trust and believe? And I was like, no, because this is not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of my anxiety. So that was a big one. I was like, whoa, something is not right for me. Something's super off. I need some time alone. I spent like the Sunday like watching a show and then like cleaning things up. I did some yoga, and then I tried to like let go of my stress and just like accept the fact that my vagina was in a lot of pain, and just like accept the fact that I had a weird jealous moment, and then like just know that like these feelings pass. And so then I like did some holiday baking with my mom and just kind of like dove into that, and then I watched a movie with my boyfriend and his friends at the movie theater, and then that helped. And now I woke up today and I had some really tired moments today. I went to the gym and did a really boring workout class, but everything's okay in the world. Everything's gonna be okay with my body, and I trust my body in the ways it gives me its natural state. Like, I will shave my legs, I will shave my armpits, I do shave certain ways of my private parts, but like at the end of the day, like I'm learning what feels right for me and what doesn't, and then aligning with that. And we can't really fully know what's aligned with us without trying things out and seeing things that, we actually end up hating and aren't aligned, like getting a fucking Brazilian wax. Sometimes it's like the most weirdest ways to be like, okay, this is a value I realize I now have. So I encourage you to just give things a go. If they feel safe and you feel ready. I would have never done a Brazilian wax unless I was at the point where I was like, I'm ready and I want to feel this pain. Let's just try it. So thanks for closing off 2022 with me with a very personal and strange story to share. And I hope you found a chuckle out of this episode. If you did, please send it to a friend. Send it to a friend who is scared to get a bikini wax, and maybe that'll scare her. Or send it to a friend who's a huge Brazilian wax girl, and she's going to be like, oh my God, this girl just has no clue how great my life is with Brazilian waxes. We're all different humans. Human to human. I wish you the most safe, happy, loving, and hopefully peaceful holiday break you can have. Know that this holiday only comes one time a year, so enjoy the good parts and say goodbye to the bad parts, and good riddance. And don't put too much pressure on yourself with the New Year's resolutions. Pick one or two things that might feel like you can actually follow through on, and if you don't follow through on them, that's okay. January is the most popular time to go to see a therapist, so please do that. And subscribe to the show. download the episodes. Make sure you're following me on Instagram and TikTok at Human to Human Pod, so you're notified when season 4 of Human to Human in 2023 launches. I am so excited. This is my favorite thing to do in the world, and so I hope you enjoy listening. If you do, again, please share it around. I hope to bring some joy to some other people and hopefully make them feel validated in this whack holiday season with our bare coochies. No longer for me, waiting for that girl to grow out. Okay, bye.